sign on to a film and they tell you there's going to be some icon or legend you're going to be working with, and you have your first rehearsal, you're so nervous, not because of what you may or may not do, but because you don't know what they're going to bring to the table. You don't know if they're going to say, you know, listen kid, this is the way you do it, go stand over there and I'm going to hit my mark and you're going to like it, we're doing this once. You just don't know. But if they do, then Danny Glover sits here and says, this is what we're going to do, and guess what? We're going to do what Danny Glover should do. But it was exactly the opposite. He came in, he sat down, and he had just copious notes on what he thought the relationship represented. We talked through it. And we'd spent like an hour and a half, 2 hours straight on what was supposed to be a half-hour meeting. And at the end of that meeting, he was calling me son, I was calling him pop. And we still to this day, that's how we address each other.
How did you get started in acting? I asked because you said that you had gone to the University of Oklahoma, you had a degree in computer programming, you were an All-American wrestler, you had job offers, and yet you took the leap to acting.
It's a funny story. So I studied, like I said, I come from Norfolk, Virginia, and it's a Navy town, and there's not much else there. And I remember, making a decision in my life. I said, I'm not going to be poor no matter what. I'm going to figure this thing out, and I'm going to make it out of this community, and I don't care what happens. There's nothing going to stop me. And I got into sports, and I had some people that stood in the gap for me, and I did really well in sports, and I had a scholarship opportunity. I went to the University of Oklahoma. Got my degree in Management Science and Information Systems. What is that? It's like computer programming, tech, and management. It was basically that degree pushed out the highest salary on average. So that's literally why I picked it, because I was like, I don't want to have to worry about that anymore. And no one told me that it could come along with a misery. And I just didn't love what I did, but I was good at it just because I worked hard because I wanted to do well. So I got out of school and I had a couple of job offers to it's a company called Deloitte, called Anderson Consulting, and I had really good job opportunities, and I was ready to go to work. I had interned and sat in a basement in a cubicle with earphones on and no windows. It was the worst moment of my life. But so there was a girl I was dating. It's always about a girl, and she was like, I have this modeling thing. She was modeling. I was modeling thing in Dallas, and I was in Oklahoma, and it's about a 2.5 hour drive. So I was like, okay, I'll go down, hang with her, stay at the Hyatt. It's fun. It'll be a good trip. And so she's walking around making her rounds, and a guy just walks up and he says, when do are you making your rounds? Are you going around? I was like, no, I'm not part of the program, not at all. Dude, I'm just hanging out, waiting on a girl. And he's like, you're a really good look. There are not a lot of young African American guys in the business. Would you want me to read a monologue? And I was like, this is my thing. But he was like, no, what do you have to lose? I was like, all right, fine, I'll read it. And it was from the Fast and the Furious, right? You can imagine a monologue being in the Fast and the Furious. So I line up, and it's funny because it was like a stage like this, but the line wrapped all the way around. So everyone got to see everyone perform, which is kind of terrifying. But I took the approach that I'd always taken in my wrestling. It's like I've been in front of thousands of people before competing. So I said, it's just like a competition. Just go up, do what you know you can do. Just try it. Either it'll work or it won't. I did it and I left. So it came time to look for the callbacks, and we in there, we're looking at this long sheet of names, and we're looking at it, and we're looking for her name, because this is her event. I just did this little thing, and I mean, beautiful girl, but she had great qualities that they weren't looking for. So unfortunately, it was like, man, what is her name? And all of a sudden, she's like, wait a minute, and we looked and we squinted. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. He said my name, but it didn't say her, so I was like, let's just go, let's just leave. She was like, no, you should just see what they say. And I was like, all right. So I went and did the callback around thing again. This time I did it for all the agents. And then the guy comes up to me, he's like, I'd like to talk to you. And he said, you must move to LA. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you must. I said, okay. 3 days later, I was on the I-10, headed west. I called my mom before. I said, Mom, I think I'm going to go try acting. And she's like, well, you got your degree. We said a quick prayer, and that was that. And I just went to LA, and I slept on a guy's couch. He had all these other clients. He was an acting teacher. Slept on their couch for a few weeks, and got an agent in my third day there. Got my first job for 3 months, my first movie in 5 months, and then I never stopped working. So that was my trajectory into becoming an actor.
Question over here in the middle.
Thank you so much for being here, and the film was just wonderful. And one thing that I noticed is it's rare, I think, to see the themes that we saw, a very strong father-son relationship in the African-American community, of course, just that type of relationship between a man and a woman in the African-American community. And I question how difficult it has been for you to find roles like this, leading roles in Hollywood.
It's a great question. It's extremely difficult. You know, the way I approach this craft is, you know, I'm an activist first. I feel like I have to do things that support the legacy I want to leave behind. You know, I have children, so I have to be responsible with what I put on the screen, because they will watch it, they will attach to it, they will accept it as a message to them, whether I like it or not. So, you know, I've always said, you know, I have to vet every project and put it through the lens of that. What am I leaving behind, and is it something that I'm going to have to create a disclaimer, you know, to make sure you tell them this before they watch it, you know. So, you know, instantly when you do that, the pool of opportunity, you know, it just shrinks. You know, we probably say no to 90% of the things. You know, we say no to 9 out of 10 scripts, and the 10th one we fight for every time. We don't always get it, but I just, you know, you draw your line in the sand, and you adhere to it, for better or worse. And then you keep people around you that understand your values, and they support you in those decisions. So to answer your question, it's extremely tough. You know, I know people that work five movies a year, but they don't typically stay around long. You know, they maybe do 2 or 3 years and they're done. And a lot of times because they don't know who they are. You know, it's really identity is so important. When you know who you are, then you will reject any type of projection from someone that tries to tell you something else. You'll just know. So for me, anything that comes along, I look at my line in the sand and I say, nope, that's not for me. And it's tempting. You know, I've turned down millions of dollars, and I can honestly say that, millions of dollars, and that's in just the last like 2 years. Just because I'll say, if this is about art and it's about activism, and it's not about money, then I can't compromise.
There's a question over here.
You're talking about roles, and you know, the mom is really painted as a bad person, I guess, for pushing her daughter and, you know, stressing her to the point of where she wanted to commit suicide. But then in the film, she says, you know, I was 17 when I had you, and I did what I had to do to make it work. So you said you come from, you know, wherever you came from. How do you distinguish, you know, how would you judge the mom, you know, trying to push the daughter versus the right way?
Well, not everyone knows right. You know, it's like, I don't believe in villains, not in good movies. I feel like everyone does what they do for their own reasons. And being someone that comes from a single parent household, and both of these characters come from a single parent household, you realize that as the parent, it is your job to make sure that person's life is easier than your life was. And sometimes your methodology doesn't match your heart. You know, I don't think that Macy was a bad person at all. I think she wanted what we all want for our kids. But, you know, a lot of people say, and being a parent, you know, it doesn't come with an instruction booklet. You know, a lot of the time, you know, you grow up as a single parent thinking to yourself, okay, how am I going to clothe this person? And which is great for me, but I love the fact that we saw her as a child, a young lady, and seeing the mother doing her best to, like, you know, I want the best for you. That means we have to be the best. That means we have to have discipline. And it's interesting because all the things that she was teaching her, there's a strand of it that is right, but it's not necessarily healthy, you know? But you look at, you know, Danny Glover's character, when he says she's not first lady material. You know, it's, in a way, it's him saying, I want you to have better than I want your situation to be better than mine, and so I'm letting you know, based on what I want, what's happened in my life, that this is what you should do. They're both, in my opinion, you know, one and the same. It's just the different degrees of their experience that push it toward healthy or unhealthy. And I love the fact that there was resolve. I love the fact that she had the opportunity to hear her, you know, become who she was. And I think that in the part 2 of this movie, which it won't be because I know Gina, you see that relationship go to a healthy place. You know, they say that the hardest steel has been through the hottest fire. You know, and I think that that's what, in my opinion, drew me to the script, because it's not cut and dry. It's just not just a villain that's throwing her daughter to the wolves. This is someone that is doing everything they can to provide their daughter with opportunities to be the very best they can be. It's just, you know, her perspective is perverted by her upbringing.
It's interesting, you're talking about